When it's playoff time, execution is everything. Every yard counts, every play matters, and that's exactly how Louis Wickett with Key Mortgage Group approaches every home loan. From central Iowa to every corner of the state, Louis helps clients get to the closing table with precision and confidence. Just like a great game plan, every detail is dialed in, from pre-approval to closing day. Whether it's your first home loan or it's your dream home, Louis helps you move the chains and cross the goal line. Because when the pressure's on, execution matters most. Louis Wickett, Key Mortgage Group, Equal Housing Opportunity, NMLS number 1212160. Welcome in, everybody. The road to the Dome. It's here. The road is at a fork, you could call it. You're one win away from qualifying for the Unidome. I got Nick Fox here. Nick, how are we feeling? Probably a lot better, I guess I should say.
Feeling real good about this week. Yeah.
Oh, you might want to plug in your mic. I don't know. You're sounding a little funky. Maybe it's just me. Now talk.
Is it good?
I think we're good. Maybe it's just my headphones. I think we're good. But yeah, let's get into why Nick is feeling so good and our rankers in general. Great week last week. 89% overall. Obviously a small sample of games, but it's going to be even less this week with just 4 games in each class. We'll have graphics coming out each night. I'm going to be at Iowa Valley on Thursday, and then Xavier on Friday is what I'm planning. Nick, where are you hitting up on Friday? Are you going to be at HQ?
I think Friday we had me playing for Iowa City of Liberty, Southeast Polk.
There we go. So you might see Nick Fox on the sidelines down in Liberty. Love it.
Probably.
This is why Nick is so happy and chirpy tonight, because he just made up a ton of ground last week alone. Obviously, double points is how we did locks and dogs in the postseason, and boy, he went from down like 30-ish last week to now being down, I can't read that, 6 points. So,
yep.
Boy, Nick just made things a lot interesting. I was expecting a cruise week. I was going to get my picks in. I was going to talk about them, hit a few dogs, hit all my locks and be good. But now all of a sudden I got some pressure. I did get first pick this week, though. So that's going to be tough for Nick. Let's move on. Class 5A. Here we go. Giddy up. This is probably the toughest week to pick. And Nick, it's the toughest because when we are wrong this week, guess who we get a C next week?
Yeah, that's right. That's what exactly makes this week
right. I could have picked a team wrong in week 2, and by now they might still hate me, but they might have forgotten about it. Where if Johnson goes and beats Valley, guess who I'm hearing from all week next week at the Unidome? I'm going to be hearing from Johnson, and rightfully so. That's what makes it fun, and most people are good about it. So that's what makes this week really tough for me personally. Nick never goes to the Dome, though, so he doesn't have to deal with it in-person hate. But for my lock, I am going to go with Hawkeyes Northwest hosting Sioux City East. Boy, Sioux City East, though, people forget they have that win over Johnson. They have a marquee win, I would call it. But, boy, I think Hawkeyes Northwest is just the best team in the entire state of Iowa to this point. I know they're not number 1. They didn't finish number 1, but, boy, they played like it just about every single week. Mac Heitland just putting up crazy numbers. He's got 2 elite receivers. This defense has been playing well behind him. I'm going to go with Hawkeyes Northwest as my lock here. And my dog, I'd say probably the biggest game on the 5A slate. Boy, I mean, each game is big, but you get CIML to go to the Dome. Obviously, there's going to be a lot of eyes on that one. 8-2 Valley, 8-2 Johnston. Nick is going directly against me, which is probably smart considering he's down 6 points in the final week. But I'm going to go with the Tigers here. They've been to the Dome, a bunch in recent years. They got their quarterback back in these big games. They have Jaden McGregory. They have Jaden Brown. Blake Dorenkamp has had a few really good weeks as of late. They're coming off a win over Prairie, who I thought was a tough test right away. I'm going to go with Valley as a dog, but Nick is going to immediately go against me, and he's going to tell you why.
Yeah, quick. I do want to highlight really quick. We're not talking about the game, but Dowling versus Iowa City West, I think is going to be a really fun game. I think both of those teams are really good. I I think they both deserve to go to the Dome. Obviously, they can't, but I think that'll be a really competitive game. But yeah, like you said, going directly against you here. I didn't have a lot of options for 5A, but honestly, I'm really happy with how it turned out. I think Johnson is going to be a really good test for Valley here. And I mean, it's going to be when it mattered most. They're both 8-2. I mean, honestly, the quarterbacks play really similarly. DeGroot's a little bit more mobile as a quarterback, but I mean, you look at these teams and they pass the ball a lot, they run efficiently, they have solid defense. Surprisingly, Valley, I wasn't expecting this. Valley 6-1 against Johnston in the last several years, according to Bound. I would have expected Johnston to compete a little bit more, but what better time to start flipping the script than this Friday? So that'll be a really fun game. I'm going to take Johnson in that one. And my dog for this week going Sioux City East. Sioux City East, a team that we really don't get to cover because they're all the way up there, the northwest side of the state. But I mean, I'm excited to see this game because it's two of the best quarterbacks in 5A going against each other. Cal Jepson had a really awesome year, 2,200 yards, 23 touchdowns. And Mac Heitland, who had one of the greatest quarterback seasons ever in Class 5A, he's 2,600 yards with 27 touchdowns, and he's even got 4 rushing there too. So I think this is going to, I mean, just like you said, no matter which way you cut it, 5A is going to be great. Get a semifinal rematch that I get to go to with Southeast Polk and Liberty. That'll be a really fun competitive game again, I'm sure. But yeah, those will be my picks. And like you said, good luck to you. And I'm sure somebody will probably, if I'm not there, somebody will chirp at you about me, I'm sure. They
I'll
did
just
last year.
I'll just try to get all my picks right, and then I don't have to worry
Yeah,
about
that's
that,
true.
right? But no, Mac Highland. I mean, I'm gonna have to do some digging. When's the last time have we had a Class 5A 3,000-yard passer? That'd be a fun stat. 3,000 yards is like an elite
I can
passing
find
yards
out
category.
quick.
Harder led the state last year as a sophomore. He was just over 3,000. And if Matt can win this one and get a game in the Dome, you'd think he probably gets there. So that might be a fun stat to dig up. Just interesting because 5A hasn't been around forever, so that might be
Right.
the first in the class. But anyways, discussion for later. Class 4A had Pella as my lock originally. Realized I already picked them last week. Can't repeat in the playoffs. So I'm buying in on Gilbert. And boy, I was impressed last week with what I saw in the win against Lewis Central, because that's a good Lewis Central team. And the system, I mean, you saw the video. If you saw the video I made, they run the system over there in Gilbert. And boy, it's so pretty if you love high school football like that. And I love high school football like that. So it was a joy to watch. Just 3-4 yards a pop. They break out that trick play when they need to, which, I mean, their trick play is a pass, but it just is so tough to stop. And Newton's going to be tested in terms of being disciplined. But boy, Newton's up for the test, and this is one of the hotter teams. I mean, this team has a win over Pella. I feel like people forget that. They just came off a completely dominating win over Fort Dodge. Boy, I kind of thought they were favored in that one, but I did not see 51-7 coming. But I'm going to go with Gilbert here, just riding the hot hand here, 10-0, one of the few undefeateds left. And I think Gilbert gets to the Dome and finally punches that ticket. They've been undefeated. They've progressed year after year these last 5 years, and boy, getting to the Dome would kind of encapsulate and put a statement on that whole process. That's been a pretty incredible one. My dog going with North Polk. And yes, I did go against them last week, and I am turning around and going with them. That seems to be a theme for me. So take that for what you will. But Armstrong played last week and played well. They got a win over Glenwood. They got up early in that one and hung on in pretty convincing fashion. And now they get SBL, who is another kind of system team that's going to run the ball and make this really tough to stop. And I have nothing but good things to say about SBL coming up from 3A to 4A and now hosting a quarterfinal game to get to the Dome. That is extremely impressive. I'm going to go with North Polk, though. This team is also a been there, done that team in terms of the Unidome. Boy, the North Pole, the Comets, back-to-back years at the Unidome, I do believe, and this has been a steady, consistent program, and they got some playmakers out there. Bryce Burke is a name that doesn't get talked about enough, but boy, he's really good on the edge. I remember that impressed me when I was at their game in person earlier this year. So that's what I got for 4A, Nick.
Yeah, you took the words right out of my mouth. A couple teams that they know how to win the big game. They've both been to the Dome just in the last year, and that'll be really fun to watch. I like it. Really quick, let's test your ball knowledge. There's been one quarterback in 5A with over 3,000 passing yards.
Was it a step guy?
Nope.
It wasn't.
Mm-mm.
Did Reddick do it?
North. No.
North.
North of Des Moines. Not that far.
It's not in Des Moines?
Mm-mm.
Boy.
See if you know ball. I know this name.
You know this name. It's not a CIML team.
Nope.
Lay it on me.
Dallas Souser.
5A was a thing then?
Mm-hmm.
Wow, interesting.
I was actually surprised too. I thought Moberly would have maybe done it, but
yeah, just because they got so many games. But no, Souser is one of the most perennial passers the state's ever seen. I guess I just didn't think that 5A was around then. That's interesting. Good pull, Nick.
Yeah, there you go. My lock for this week, I'm going to go with Xavier. However, ADM is a really good team. I think that this is a really good game to go to. Quite frankly, I'm kind of jealous that you get to go to this game because I watched Xavier and they took care of business against a good Decorah team, which shout out to that pick. That was such a great game. Shout out to Western Dubuque and Decorah playing an outstanding playoff football game. That was so much fun to follow on Twitter. But yeah, like I mentioned, Xavier undefeated on the season. Hudson Scholl and ADM playing really, really good football when it's mattered most. And you want to talk about quarterback matchups? Cash Parks versus Hudson Scholl, both just unbelievable seasons out of both of them. Some of the best quarterbacks in the state. Scholl gets it done on either side. He can pass it and he can run it, while Cash Parks has had one of the best offenses in the state. You know, he just sits back in the pocket and he slings it. He can run a little bit. 22 passing yards on the year for him. And I mean, I'd like to say that this is probably Xavier's toughest game of the season leading up to this. But I mean, you look at all of the tests that they've had so far this year, and they've taken care of business every time. I think this Xavier team is that next level that can go and win a state title. So I'm going to take them for this week. And my dog, going with Newton. I mean, ever since that opening week where they blew up and they really showed that they're going to be the team to beat this year, they've really they haven't looked back, and they've looked phenomenal ever since. 9-1 on the season. Guy that we've talked about a bunch this year, Caden Klein. He has continued to dominate 4A at the quarterback position. But like you said, Gilbert, rising program. I mean, they have been a staple in 4A for a couple years now. Still undefeated to this day. However, I think Newton is going to spoil that undefeated season. I think the Cardinals look like an absolutely electric group. Fort Dodge, don't let that Fort Dodge score, don't let it fool you. Fort Dodge was a tough team with really great players on that squad, and that was a very impressive win for Newton. And I think that they are, again, one of those teams that can really, I think they can win this big game. So I'll take Newton as the dog.
There you have it. Off to Class 3A. I'm rolling with Clear Lake as my lock. In my opinion, the best team wire to wire in Class 3A. But we're seeing a lot of buts in this episode. But I think that's very fair considering every game is, expected to be a great game. Nevada is the team that has played Clear Lake the toughest way back on the 19th of September. This was a 21-14 win for Clear Lake. And if you look at Clear Lake's schedule, they have just torn apart everyone in their path except for Nevada. and Nevada's coming off a good win over Carroll, which was 21-14 in its own right. But Clear Lake, boy, this has been the best team in Class 3A as far as resume goes. And it feels like every week some new guy on defense is just putting up crazy numbers. These guys have not a lot of point the last 4 weeks. Iowa Falls Alden, Charles City, who you might expect shutouts against, and then West Dell, Mount Vernon, nothing. That is crazy. So Clear Lake has been riding the defense. The offense gets going too, obviously under McIntyre. Going to roll with them. My dog, another rematch, but this time I'm taking the script to flip. Wahlert Catholic as a dog on the road against West Dell. They lost by 7, again on the 19th, the same week Clear Lake and Nevada played. This is another one that I just think is going to be a great game. Jack Cantwell has been excellent for West Dell, leading them in rushing and receiving. But Wahlert Catholic, just another team with that postseason experience, coming off a 3A title, looking to get back and defend their crown. JP Elbert has been really good as a junior at quarterback, leading them in passing and rushing. And then obviously every time I talk about Wahlert Catholic, do you know what name I'm about to say, Nick? One of my favorite
For
names.
Wahlert Catholic?
Yep. Leading the defense.
Now let's hear it.
Noah Cratful. There you go. Noah Cratful. Wahlert Catholic in their own right has had an excellent past 5 weeks. Central DeWitt, Assumption, Mount Vernon, and then Central DeWitt again. You mix Maquoketa in there too, but those are 4 really good Class 3A wins, and Wahlert Catholic owns them all. So I'm going to go with the Golden Eagles to rewrite a wrong and avenge one of their 2 regular season losses.
Yeah, and I was just talking to Cade before the show. I mean, I think 3A is one of the classes where most, if not all, these games could really go either way.
Yeah.
I mean, I think this is a very well-balanced set of games here. This was tough for me to pick on, but my lock, I'm going to go with Solon. But, I mean, Winterset's going to be no, like you said with the butts, man. Like, Winterset's going to be no walk in the park.
Boy, Nick, you are going to hear it if Winterset wins. I'll say this. All year long, I get messages when I get dogs or locks wrong. No one has messaged me on my personal account more than Winterset has.
Really?
Everyone's just messaging me. Bet on black. Bet on black. It must be a thing they have, a saying they say. So beware if Winterset goes and pulls an
Listen,
upset.
okay, hang on.
Just warning you.
Let me give Winterset their flowers
It
here.
doesn't count. Doesn't count. You're picking against.
I'm still gonna do it.
Okay, go ahead.
Winterset's kind of, well, looking at how they've played this season, they're kind of giving me a little bit of reminders of how Iowa plays. They started the season 2-3 in their first 5 games, and since then they are 5-0. This is one of the hottest teams in 3A. They have quickly risen the rankings. They just played Independence, beat a Mr. IAfootball candidate. They won the district title with a win over Des Moines Christian the week prior. They've got a win against Williamsburg. I mean, Winterset team is proven. However, I think Solon, I've seen some polls have Solon at no. I really think Solon is the team to beat in Class 3. I mean, obviously in our polls, they're number 1. But I mean, Eli Campman, I mean, he's one of the best quarterbacks in the state. He's over 2,000 yards for him and leading one of the best teams out there in the state, undefeated Solon. So he leads Solon in rushing and passing in that aspect. And then Kyler Jensen is out there defensively with 58.5 tackles and 9 tackles for loss. But like I said, Spartans are going to have a tough time with Winterset. Definitely a really tough team. And like I said, one of the hottest teams. So we'll see how that one goes. But I've got Solon. And my dog, the rematch. I'm going to bet on this kind of rematch agenda that we have going here with Sioux Center and Bishop Heelan. Last week, I kind of talked about this similarly on the opposite side of the state with Decorah and Western Dubuque. And now I'm going to flip it here with Bishop Heelan and Sioux Center. These guys played a really close game not that long ago. Just a 2-possession game there, 28-15. And if you look at Bishop Heelan's track record, they had a very good season, and that was a good competitive game from Sioux Center. You have Ezra Hidma, who has been quietly one of the best players in the class. 1,500 passing yards for him, 27 total on the year. I mean, you want to talk about flipping a program around. Last year, Sioux Center was, I mean, they were at the bottom of the barrel of 3A with just one win and 8 losses. And now they're here with they're one game away from going to the Dome. So at the end of the day, very successful season for Sioux Center. Obviously, the job's not finished, and I'm going to take them to get the upset on Bishop Heelan.
Sioux Center and Heelan in quarterfinal games. What could possibly?
That
It
yes,
totally
that's
is
I
not going
forgot
to
to
be a
bring that up.
crazy double overtime thriller like it was last time, right? No, yeah, that one. I wasn't even there. I was just following on Twitter, and it was just nuts. I think Ryan Timmerman was just posting videos. I love following his coverage out east, obviously. Off to 2A though. I'm gonna go with Kemper Catholic, and this is yet again another rematch. These guys beat Cherokee way back in week 1. It was 44-28, and do believe that is the closest game Kemper Catholic has played to this point. 60. I guess they played OABCAG to 11 points last week, but you get the point. It hasn't been very close in games where Kemper Catholic has played, and that's because of Brock baiting. That's because of I know Jaron Hoffman, I think, was dealing with an injury. Griffin Glenn, Brayton Alford have just been great. They got skill guys all around, and they're great up front, too. I was impressed watching them in person. I would be a little careful, though, because Jackson Palsfred has been on a tear for Cherokee. 6 rushing touchdowns in back-to-back weeks, I do believe, which is crazy. I know he was back in our IAfootball Player of the Week. I know he was up there in voting. He might be the first back-to-back IAfootball Player of the Week. And I don't like putting guys in the polls yet again, but his numbers were just too good to not put in. Like, I felt like I was doing him dirty by not putting him in the poll again. So I don't think this is an easy game by any means for Kemper Catholic. But I do think they match up well with the Cherokee team that they've already beat to this point. My dog, I'm going Wilton. I will note that I do have the yellow Wilton logo on here, and on Bound it's white. So if any Wilton people, if you guys don't use this yellow logo, like, let me know and I'll switch it out. But I kind of like the look of the yellow one. But I'm gonna go with the Beavers on the road at PCM. I'm sure I'll hear it from the PCM guys because I was there and I love my time there, and it was a ton of fun. But Wilton has been playing really well this last stretch. They're just coming off a win over West Branch, who I thought was an undervalued team in 2A. And these guys only lost, or one of the guys' only loss is to Mid Prairie and then Regina. And both those, I know they lost to Regina by double digits, but Mid Prairie was a 1-point game, 1-possession game. And I just think this team, ever since that loss to Mid Prairie, has been on a tear. They get PCM now, who's obviously excellent at running the football. Wilton's going to rely on their guys up front. Hayden Hill, Gatlin Rogers are really good inside that box defensively. Really great athletes, and they're going to have a tough time stopping this PCM run. But I think they can do it. And yet again, Wilton, both these teams looking for a back-to-back trip to the Unidome, Nick.
Yeah, I like that game that you picked. I was also looking at that Wilton PCM game. I think it's going to be a lot more competitive game than some people might think. But yeah, my lock for this week, I'm going to go with Osage, another team that we've covered a lot this season, and a lot of it to do with the names of the players on the team, which we've covered quite a bit. A lot of great football names on here, but also just a lot of great players on here, man. I mean, Quinn Street at 1,700 yards passing, 1,400 yards rushing. I mean, the epitome of a dual threat quarterback here, and a big reason why they've had an undefeated 10-0 season here this season. And Brock Trees, a guy we've talked about for his incredible name, but also a guy who has just been a spectacular defender. 82 tackles on the year, 10 tackles for loss, 2.5 sacks, a fumble recovery, an interception. This guy is doing it all on defense, and certainly somebody that you cannot ignore, and somebody who's going to give Alburnett a lot of trouble. Obviously, no disrespect to Alburnett. They have had a really good season this year. They've looked really solid, but Osage looks like the team of destiny to go to the Dome. Saying that, I'm realizing I'm giving like those Stephen A. Smith like edit fuel for like somebody to be like, "Oh, this was the team of destiny." And sorry, I said it. I've got faith in Osage, but that'll be my lock for this week. And my dog, a little bit of an interesting matchup here. We have a been there, done that team with Van Meter, who has been time and time again in the dome winning state championships. And then you have Mid Prairie, who wins 9 games for the first time since 2013. A team who has not had a lot of success in years past, but they're here 1 game away to get back into the dome while Van Meter is trying to keep this dynasty going. And I think Van Meter is going to do it. I think this Van Meter team, despite they're 8-2, not quite the dominant Bulldogs team that we typically see in a year, I still think this is one of the elites in 2A, and I think they're still perfectly well within competition for a state title. But as you said, Mid Prairie's been a really great team this year. But Van Meter has some guys that I think can really get the job done. Christian Williams has been a threat on both sides of the ball. He's their leading rusher with 826 rushing yards and 12 touchdowns. He also leads the team in tackles, 69 and a half tackles, 5.5 tackles for loss as a sophomore, right? These are really great numbers for a more or less a legendary team for Van Meter. And I trust that we're going to be probably saying his name in the coming years of IA football. But yeah, I'm going to take Van Meter in what should be a really great game against Mid Prairie to go to the Dome.
Off to Class 1A, which is my personal favorite class that I'm looking forward to in Cedar Falls. I'll go out there and say it. 1A is the class I'm looking forward to with these potential matchups we have. My lock, I did not pick Grundy Center last week because I wanted to be able to pick them this week. They get Beckman Catholic, who has been excellent, who has not played a close game in the last 5-6 weeks, whatever it is. But really, neither has Grundy Center besides the South Hardin win. Grundy Center's been on the tear. Judd Jarowski, his production has ticked up a little bit. With blowout wins, he wasn't getting crazy numbers in the first month of the year, but he's starting to now. He's been excellent. Grundy Center's been excellent. Really good football game. I'm expecting this to be. But I am going to go with the Spartans to continue their chase for yet another state title. And look away, South Hardin die hard. Look away. Don't look. Mute up and check back in like 2 minutes. But I think Trainer was the toughest team to draw as a team going on the road. I think Trainer was the toughest team. South Hardin happened to get him. And boy, this could be a fantastic football game over in Eldora. Ethan Hill was the Mr. IAfootball semifinalist for Trainer, but it could have been Jet Sorensen too. I mean, it really could have been. And Trainer has just been absolutely on a tear and kind of unworldly to this point. A loss to Van Meter in week 2, and besides that, these guys have beaten up on everybody and a lot of good teams. Underwood beaten by 25 points. Tri-Center beaten by, quick math, 28 points. Nick's Hinton beat by 23. I mean, those are all really good teams that these guys handled. And now Trainer and South Hardin clash. Boy, I mean, I try not to say I think these two teams deserve to be in the Dome, but I do believe that with this one, that there is a good team that is going to be left out of the Unidome, and I think that this matchup resembles that.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. Both really good teams who had really great years. And honestly, this is one of the toughest weeks because these are the teams that, I mean, a lot of them do deserve to go to the Dome, but only 4 can make it. So, yeah, that's why we play the games here. So, my lock for this week, I'm going to go with Regina over Pleasantville. And you want to talk about a tough competitive game. This is going to be one of them. The common theme for my picks that's popping out to me on the pages is the quarterback matchups, and this is another one of them. Braylon Bingham, Kyle Tracy, a pair of guys that we have talked plenty about on the show and just covering in IA football throughout the season. But Regina's still perfect, 10-0 on the year. looks like last season Regina and Pleasantville actually matched up in the playoffs as well, and Regina beat Pleasantville 32-21. So I'm going to be picking Regina to do it again. Sorry, Pleasantville fans. I know that I'm sure we've got more Pleasantville people watching after your video you did with Braylon Bingham. So nothing against Pleasantville here. They had a really great season. I've talked about them before and how they're a rising program and how they've looked really good across all the different sports. But I think Regina is a really great team. I think they're a tough competitor for the state title. So I'm going to take them in the win there. My dog pick here, tough pick here. You're going to have to make with these dog picks. You're going to have to take a really tough one because there's a lot of really, really great teams, West Line being one of them. But I really do think that Underwood I think they have a chance to win this game. As dominant as West Line has looked, as much as we said from the beginning of the season how they look like the team that's going to win it all in the class, I think Underwood does have a chance here. West Lyon, one of the toughest defenses. I mean, it's up there, them and Grundy Center. They just they play unbelievable defense. They typically don't allow double-digit points. But Underwood has had really a lot of great success in their offense, specifically in their last 5 games. They've put up 56, 36, 68, 54, 42. I mean, their offense is rolling when the time matters most, and they're definitely going to be needing to roll against West Lyon. I mean, that's what's going to have to take. If it's not West Lyon, it's going to be Grundy Center, who has arguably equal to or a tougher defense than West Lyon. So if you want to win, you're going to have to roll. I think Garrett Louette has the tools to make it work. So, yeah, I'm going to look for Underwood to pull off a really big upset here to go to the Dome.
There you go. Off to Class A. My lock, going with St. Ansgar. I would say the most dominant Class A team, wire to wire. Corbin Michaels, every time we talk about St. Ansgar, we got to go look at his yards per carry. Has it dropped? It has not dropped. He is still averaging 17 yards per carry. 81 carries, 1,300 yards, 26 touchdowns, 17 yards per carry. That is wild. I'm going to go with them. No matchup history with North Lynn. North Lynn coming off a big win over Pekin. I just think Ansgar has just been a next level. I think North Lynn's elite. I think Ansgar is state title, type of tier. So I'm going to go with the Saints to push their mark to 11-0. And yet again, another team looking to get back to the Unidome is St. Ansgar. I'm also going to go with West Sioux as my dog over ACGC. Boy, this one was tough. And this is a huge clash in styles. Blake Wiggins of West Sioux can sling it, nearly 1,700 passing yards. And then you have ACGC, who has infamously thrown 15 passes all year. But that works for them because they are running wildly efficiently. 3,300 rushing yards on 8 yards per carry for the Chargers. And again, ACGC has been excellent the last 2 years. This has been the game where they've been trying to get over the hump, and this is another opportunity for them to do so. West Sioux's a tough matchup, though. Braylon Lopez is a sneaky athlete. We talk about Blake Wiggins with West Sioux, but we don't talk about Braylon Lopez leading them in rushing and receiving. Going to take West Sioux here, though, and I'm sure I'll hear from my ACGC guys. But Nick's going to back you up.
Yeah, I got you, ACGC guys. Don't worry. It's no problem. I think you said it best with the good things that you said about ACGC. I mean, they run the ball extremely well to the point where they are just dominating teams with their rushing attack, and they have beaten everybody. I mean, fairly handedly. I mean, last week they played a great game. Mount Air played a great game against them, 2-possession game there. But the fact that one of their closest games of the season was to a ranked team and it was a 2-possession game is really all I need to know. I think ACGC has not only the rushing attack, but also the defense to get over that said hump that you said. They had I think they were undefeated last season too when they lost this game to go to the Dome. And I think that this is their time. I think ACGC has the right tools, and I think they're ready to go to make the trip to Cedar Falls this season. And my dog pick, Woodbury Central, a team that is very vocal in the fact that they watch this show. And I'm here to show the Wildcats some love. Arguably the biggest and most possibly competitive game to go to the Dome in this class, with undefeated Woodbury Central and undefeated MMCRU. And Jackson versus Score, the name that I always used to get wrong when we first started popping up for Woodbury Central. And I look at the growth. I can say it perfectly fine now. 2,000 passing yards on the year for him and 24 touchdowns total for him, split down the middle for passing and rushing. How about the sophomore running back, Abe McGill? 1,251 rushing yards and 17 touchdowns for him. Really great dual threat offense here. Versus Score's going to beat you through the air. And versus Score and Miguel, kind of the two-headed monster in the backfield who can beat you either way. But not going to be an easy game. I mean, MMCRU, they have some really high quality wins against teams like previously mentioned. West Sioux has been really competitive this year. Woodbury Central does have the advantage historically, according to Bound. Not playing a whole bunch, but they've got the series 4-1, and I think they can extend it to 5-1. And I've got Woodbury Central to get back to the Dome and punch their ticket to Cedar Falls.
There you go. Off to the final class. For a lock, actually, I'm going to start with my dog because I got a story here. 3 years ago when we started IAfootball, this is like my 7th year going to the Dome for football. But for the first year of IAfootball, walked in semifinals, 8-man, and one of the first people to come up to me was Coach Wadley of Bishop Garrigan. And he said, "You guys didn't pick us," and they knew it. And Tate Forch and everybody was coming up to me and giving me crap. And it was the 8-man ranker that picked it. And I was like, oh, boy. Like, I know people are watching. And so now, 3 years later, here I am picking Don Bosco in the quarterfinals. And so I'm sure if these Golden Bears, who have been number one wire to wire, make it next year, that I'm going to hear it again. But, man, shout out to those guys at Bishop Garrigan. 12 wins, 11 wins, and now 10-0 the last 3 years after not reaching 5 wins, even 4 wins the 3 years prior. So those guys have done an excellent job. I'll never forget that. I was like, dang, IAfootball people actually do watch what we say in post. So. But I am going to go with Don Bosco as my lock. That's what I got with the games available. I'm going to be at Audubon, Iowa Valley, so I'm not picking on that one. But, boy, Don Bosco is a tough draw to get into the Dome. There's no doubt about that. Tucker Youngbloods coming off a great game and a win over Clarksville. And Don Bosco, 2 losses and 8-man. It's kind of frowned upon just because your margin for error is so small in that class. But those 2 losses are to Iowa Valley and Gladbrook Rhinebeck, obviously 2 teams hosting on Thursday, which is the day you're watching this. So I do have Don Bosco here as my dog against Bishop Garrigan. Nick is gonna come in and play good guy here for the Golden Bears and shortly. But my lock, I'm going to go Woodbine. These guys have played. Woodbine handled business in this matchup earlier this year, 54-12. I don't think I had to say too much about these guys. Boy, Broden Pryor has been excellent. Obviously, he has Landon Bloom to throw to. And just the team in general. I mean, there's 8 guys on this field. It's not just those 2 doing it. This is an elite team altogether. And they're going to look to go to the Dome and kind of finish this kind of dream team that they've had. We've had this Woodbine team circled all offseason, and now here they are, 9-0, looking to go to the Dome and win a state title.
Yeah, 8-man's so competitive. You mentioned Don Bosco getting 2 losses, and 2 of them, I mean, 2 of some of the best teams in the class, and I mean, just 1 or 2 losses can really completely change the way things go for you in terms of how the playoffs look. But yeah, I'm going to go with Bishop Garrigan. I mean, The story writes itself here, Cade. I mean,
Yeah.
see how
Okay.
that
They'll
goes
like you a
for
lot
you.
more next week if they win and you actually show up.
You can always get me with that every
Yeah, I
time.
always will.
I'm gonna try and be there, I swear.
Wait till they
Um,
find out that Nick is just a volunteer helping us out, and I'm the one that's like actually doing this full time. We don't need to bring that up though. Nick's just not there.
every time. I do some posting. I've done
Yeah.
that. I've just
Oh
been the
yeah.
dome guy,
Yeah.
the the guy who messes up posting. Bishop Garrigan, I mean, you said it yourself. We've covered this team for years. I mean, we've watched Tate Forch's career play out. I mean, for years now. And like you mentioned, we've talked about this before. He doesn't have the best quarterback number. None of these guys have the best numbers in the state. And it's because they're not playing the full game, like we've mentioned before. Tate Forch, 1,000 yards. God knows how many yards this man would have if he's playing quarter to quarter all the way through. And I think that the Golden Bears, I think they're the best team in the class, honestly. I think they deserve to be number one. I think Don Bosco is going to have their hands full offensively and defensively. I mean, they have proven themselves. No games really even relatively close for Bishop Garrigan this year. So I really think that they have a good chance to. No disrespect here to Don Bosco, of course. Never any disrespect to these teams picking against them. But I think Golden Bears of Bishop Garrigan are really that team this year. My dog pick, like you mentioned, I think that this is going to be the best game in 8-man. I think Iowa Valley and Audubon are really close in their skill. Um, Obviously, Nolan Kriegel, a guy that we've talked plenty about in the last couple of years. I think I say that every time I talk about Iowa Valley, but he is just a star for Iowa Valley. So much fun to watch, but Audubon just a tough, well balanced team. I mean, top to bottom, this roster plays tough and they play great football. Help me out with this last name here, this running back,
Is it Kiergaard?
Aiden Kiergaard.
I don't know if that's right. I just assumed it's Kiergaard. I assumed the J was
Kiergaard.
silent, but I could be wrong. I'll be there tomorrow, so I'll tell you. Or today, I
Okay.
guess if you're watching on Thursday.
Yeah, I appreciate it. That would be great. So I can talk about him next week, maybe. In any case, I mean, doing it both ways. We're talking about it right with some of these other quarterbacks you talked about in the lower classes. I mean, he's getting it done passing and rushing. And I think that's going to be really interesting to see kind of similar quarterbacks playing there with Kriegel and Kiergaard, having passing in their back pocket, but I mean, more or less just tucking and running it and having a lot of success with it. But I think this is going to be a great game. I think you're going to have a lot of fun at this one. I probably would have ended up going if you weren't going to go, but I have other business to attend to with other IA members that I'm associated with happening tomorrow.
You have volleyball?
Nope.
Oh.
IA Cat's got an appointment.
Oh, I cat has an appointment. But yeah, I mean Audubon. I'm gonna carry on your point here. Last 11 seasons, they've had 8 wins or more in 9 of those 11 seasons, and they've had 10 wins or more 5 times. It looks like, if I'm counting correctly. So one of the more consistent 8-man programs in the state of Iowa. There's no doubt about that. Nick, do you remember what we did last week? Do you remember?
Oh yeah.
I'm putting it up here. If you commented last week and you watched the end of the video, I asked, what did I ask, Nick?
What was the best game?
No, I said, where are you tuning in from? So we got some
Oh,
people to
that's
shout
right.
out.
Yeah.
I screenshotted the comments. So bleed gold and blue says, I think West Delaware is overrated. He did not participate. He just got a free shout out for that. Let's see what we got. Garrett Hoyt, obviously love his collabs. Definitely should come to Iowa Valley Audubon. We'll be there. Look who we got. Chet V Score from Moville.
Wow.
Full circle moment. I'm gonna assume that's a relation to Mr. Jackson Verscore. Noel Glazier says he's watching from Mason City, and then Shannon Clark says Rhinebeck, GR, keep 'em learning Gladbrook Rhinebeck. I don't know if she was just commenting supporting Gladbrook Rhinebeck or she's commenting where she's watching from, but either way, thank you, Shannon. Thank you, Chet, and thank you, Noel, for commenting where you were watching from. Watching the end of the video is crazy. 45 minutes. I mean, they just sat through the
Yeah.
8-man. They just sat through the 8-man stuff. You know you're a real OG if you did that. But no, we appreciate everyone for tuning in. That's it for Locks and Dogs. We will have postseason shows, I'm sure, before the semis, finals, whatever it is. But as far as Locks and Dogs goes, this is it. Another season in the books. Season 3, second keeping track. So always a ton of fun. Appreciate everyone for tuning in. Nick, as close as he's been, can he finally pull off a win in the season? We'll find out. But again, we appreciate everyone tuning in. We'll have scores, videos all week, all dome, all whatever. I mean, you know the drill. We appreciate everyone's support, and we will catch you before the Unidome.